Thanks for joining us, and here are business stories making the headlines at this hour. I am Perpetua Fasami Peter. We begin with the news from the oil sector. Out of the 1.772 million barrels per day of crude oil allocated to the country by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, in June, Nigeria was only able to produce 1.158 million barrels per day. The latest monthly oil market report, MOMR, by the organization has indicated. A further breakdown revealed that, valued against the daily oil price for the period, Nigeria may have lost as much as $2.1 billion due to its inability to, for months, increase the country's production level. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPC, has not been able to contribute a kobo to the Federation account this year. Although month-on-month, the country's oil production increased by about 134,000 barrels per day from 1.02 million barrels per day recorded in May 2022 to the new figure of 1.158 million barrels per day, according to data by the government. OPEC's figures showed that it was far from the projection for the period. It was also markedly lower than the production for April, which stood at 1.219 million barrels per day. It also almost aligned with data for June released by the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, which stated that the country produced more than 133,000 barrels per day, representing a 0.13% increase from the May 2022 output. But despite the huge gap between expected and actual production, the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Timi Silva, had recently said the gap will be filled by August. The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, has unveiled 7 ministerial regulations that will provide a proper framework for monitoring the implementation of the Nigerian Oil and Gas Industry Content Development (NOGICD) Act. The Executive Secretary of the NCDMB, Simba Wabote, explained that the regulations were made in line with the Section 40 of the NOGICD Act, which empowers the minister to make them establish the minimum standards in facilities, personnel and technology for training in the oil and gas industry. He noted that the regulation on training in the Nigerian oil and gas industry provides for the minimum standards, facilities, personnel and technology for training in the oil and gas industry and modalities for involving operators and service providers as partners in training and development, while the regulation for the further growth of indigenous capacity sets out targets to ensure full utilization and steady growth of indigenous companies engaged in the exploration, seismic data processing, reservoir studies, and other facilities. He added that the regulation for the further growth of indigenous capacity reinforces the principle of first consideration for Nigerian-made goods and services and details compliance waiver management and the deployment of capacity development initiatives, CDIs, as a tool for the growth of indigenous capacity. Motorists and commuters in Lagos and Ogun State on Tuesday again lamented the biting consequences of the lingering fuel scarcity as the situation remained unchanged from the trends experienced over the past 2 weeks. Checks by our correspondent showed that the price of premium motor spirits, commonly referred to as petrol, seemed to have stalled at 200 naira per litre, about the same price the product has been selling in Lagos, Abuja and some states over the past week. It was also observed that several filling stations in Lagos remained closed for business, ostensibly due to the unavailability of the product. Also, the few outlets dispensing the product in the cities had long queues as motorists jostled to buy the product. Further checks also showed that transport fares across various parts of Lagos maintained a 50% hike due to the continued scarcity of PMS. Some routes witnessed hikes as high as 100%. A commercial transport operator who plies the Berja-Mowe route between Lagos and Ogun State said motorists were grappling with not only a significant increase in fuel price, but also great difficulty in accessing the product. A stakeholder in the manufacturing sector has thrown his weight behind a call by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria (MAN) asking the federal government to urgently allow manufacturers and independent petroleum products marketing companies to also import diesel from the Republic of Niger and Chad, Nigeria's neighboring countries, to avert the paralysis of manufacturing activities that could arise from total shutdown of production operations. CEO, Frisker Farms Limited, Usman Imana, while speaking on IBrandTV's flagship business show, Business Breakfast, stated that desperate times call for desperate measures, noting that diesel is integral to any manufacturing business in Nigeria.
the truth is desperate times require desperate responses. It shouldn't have gotten to this, but manufacturers have invested a lot in their systems. We've invested a lot in factory, in raw materials, in building the market. So much has been put into this business, is that we cannot allow ourselves to be held ransom by supply chain challenges from the government's end. Diesel or fuel or power as a whole is integral to any manufacturing concern, especially in Nigeria. It would have been less if we had proper power infrastructure. But the fact that, you know, we need this same diesel to, for the lack of a better choice of words, to substitute for power, even though we are not, even though the regular power is the substitute and the diesel is the mainstay. But how do you substitute? We need this diesel to substitute power. So let me start from the beginning. First of all, manufacturers in most cases have to buy raw materials. Most of these raw materials are not grown in the factory. They are grown in different parts of the country. And these raw materials have to be, because they come in a tonnage, they have to come in heavy duty trucks that run mainly on diesel. Now, when the price of diesel increases, it affects the cost of raw material. That's one. But when diesel is not even available, it cuts the supply chain totally. So you are not even able to bring in raw materials to carry on your business. And the way factories run if a factory is not run optimally, you are running at a loss.
The Executive Director, Chief Executive, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, NEPC, Dr. Israel Yakusak, has said that the Council would continue to partner with any institution that is readily available to stimulate innovation through information technology and other IT-enabled solutions in supporting the federal government's non-oil export drive. To this end, he said the Council had set up youth export development desks in all the state offices across the country to fast-track the promotion of non-oil export activities, especially in the digital space. The NEPC boss disclosed this at the unveiling of the Yard mobile and web app, which is a discourse platform aimed at digitalizing the employment process with the use of artificial intelligence (AI) to merge talents with organizations and agencies across the globe. Represented by the NEPC Deputy Director, National Export Office, Andy Ambikputen, Yakusak specifically commended the company's Chief Executive and Developer, Mr. Anderson Idoko, for the digital innovation aimed at providing solutions that are scalable, proven, secure, and easy to use and support business growth. He said the country remained well-positioned as the biggest economy in Africa and one of the largest youth populations in the world to develop a strong economy that would have a transformational impact through the growth of digital innovation and entrepreneurship, which is essential for the creation of an ecosystem for innovation-driven enterprises. Key stakeholders have been urged to cooperate with the Securities and Exchange Commission in its desire to help bridge the infrastructure gap in the country. Director General of the SEC, Mr. Lamido Yuguda, stated this in Abuja. He said the capital market is capable of attracting finance that would assist the nation to bridge the current infrastructure deficiency. According to him, quote, "We have a huge infrastructure deficit in the country, like insufficient power, lack of good roads, among others. We want our country to have good infrastructure, and I know this is possible with the help of the capital market and other stakeholders. It requires adequate planning and financing, and we can achieve it as a nation. The capital market through the private sector can fund road construction, while the government focuses on other issues," end of quote. He commended the new leadership of CIS and assured them of the support of the management of the Commission for a successful tenure. The SEC boss acknowledged CIS as a key partner in the Commission's regulation of the market and assured that the SEC would continue to provide the needed support.